Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Okay, I'm just getting this kind of prepped so I could see the questions and see you. Oh my goodness. Okay. I have 2 screens, but I hate looking over there. So at least on an interview. So okay. Cool. Okay. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the 114th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, Making Money with Media and Brands. Today, I am interviewing Amy Gorin. Amy is a registered dietitian and media expert. She runs the Master the Media coaching program, and she helps dietitians make money through media and brand work. So welcome to the podcast, Amy.
Thanks so much for having me. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, I was so excited to have you on the podcast. Amy and I had the opportunity to meet in person at Fincy, which was amazing. I love in-person events. You know, the Zoom is wonderful, but in person where you could hug, it's just, oh my gosh, nothing beats it.
Oh my gosh, I had such a high after Fancy, just seeing all my dietitian friends in real life after such a long time.
Yeah, I'm still riding that high, so that's a good thing. So I guess as we dive in, can you tell our audience a little bit more about you, kind of your journey becoming a dietitian and how you got into this media space?
Yeah, for sure. So what some people know about me and others don't is being a dietitian is my second career. So my first career, I was a magazine editor. And I worked in New York City at Health, Prevention, Parents, American Baby, Weight Watchers Magazine, and WeightWatchers.com. And that was 8 years. And for 7 years of that time, I was going back to school to become a dietitian. So my very first job at Prevention, I was in the nutrition department. And I just kind of had this experience where I interviewed an expert on omega-3s. And that expert spent a really, really long time on the phone with me explaining the intricacies of EPA and DHA. I thought, I want to just understand this in minutes, not hours. So that's when I started my journey of going back to school. And once I became a dietitian in 2015, I merged those two worlds of media and dietetics and really haven't looked back ever since. It's really been a fun journey. My day-to-day life revolves around I freelance write for Food Network and Everyday Health and other websites. I'm a spokesperson for brands that I love. So that involves everything from consulting behind the scenes to, being featured on their platforms to creating content and recipes and hosting events for them. And then I have the Master the Media coaching program, which media trains other dietitians on how to do all of this. So it's just really fun. And things have definitely changed over the years. There's been so much evolution and you kind of just have to go with that.
I love it. And I love what you're doing as a dietitian because I think it's such a unique area. In school, oftentimes we learn you can do clinical, you can do community, you can do food service. But the reality is there are so many things that you can do as a dietitian, including you as like a full-time media dietitian, which is amazing, working with these big brands. And I love your backstory that you have all this experience working with magazines and media, and you had that conversation with someone and realized, well, I want to become the expert too. So it's a great marriage of two worlds. So that is wonderful.
It's super fun to be that, on the expert side of things. And when you work with media, really the most attractive thing about it is you reach millions of people with one conversation.
Yes.
And one-on-one is great for so many different reasons, but you just can't make that kind of an impact with anything else.
Yes, I love that. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons why I love blogging so much is that I'm able to reach 100,000 people in a month. That's more people than I would have probably ever reached in my entire career. So
yeah, you can't talk to that many people one-on-one.
Oh, goodness. And, it's kind of funny how you were talking about when you were interviewing an expert about omega-3s and they were explaining the intricacies. I actually was, it was via email, but I was actually emailing a reporter yesterday about omega-3s and talking about EPA and DHA and all that. So anyways. It's top of
amazing.
mind. Yes. Okay, awesome. So I guess the next question I have for you is, can you explain what exactly is media work? What is brand work, especially for those who are like, what are they even talking about? Like what is
Yeah,
media work? So
that's a great question. And that's something that we should definitely start with. So, media means really just any mass communication. So, these days, we have magazines, which I went to school for, and I feel like that's obviously magazines are slowly going away. So that's print, and there's newspapers, and then there's the websites, which
Mhm.
are just where a lot of the traffic happens these
Yeah.
days. Then there's broadcast. So there's TV, there's radio, there's podcasts like we're doing right now. And then there's blogs and e-newsletters and social media. Those are all forms of media. And so media can be paid or unpaid. We can talk about that more in a minute. Um, but then when you're working with brands, that's when you are getting paid to do that work. And a brand can hire you for behind the scenes work, for in front of the scenes work. And that's something that a lot of dietitians come to me and they say, I want to make money working with brands, but I don't like to be the center of attention. And you can have, if you love being the center of attention, you can have that. If you absolutely don't like it, you can have that too, or you can have the middle ground. So when I work with my students, I kind of have them try everything out just to see, you don't know if you like it till you try it, right? Like I was surprised way back when I thought I hated doing TV and broadcast, and I found out I absolutely love it. So you just never know. So when you work with brands behind the scenes, they can hire you to do something, you can consult from a nutrition point of view to help them create messaging that doesn't have your name attached to it. You can create a health practitioner's toolkit. You can write content for their blog. You can create recipes and do food photography and videos that don't have your name attached to it. So behind the scenes is usually just truly behind the scenes without your name attached. Then the forward facing has what's called your name and likeness. So that's your name, your biography, your image. And that's when you can do media interviews on behalf of a brand. You can have a quote in a press release. You can be featured with a testimonial on their website, or you could do social media, TikTok videos, recipes, like hosting events, being you're a talent at a booth at Fancy. There's so many opportunities, and these are opportunities you get paid for. And that's really where, as a dietitian, you can make multiple six figures, like more than $200,000 plus. And I know that sounds amazing. As traditionally dietitians, we're kind of like, oh, you can make not that much, but this is really where there's a lot of opportunity for dietitians.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that breakdown between what media is and what brand work is. And also the fact that it doesn't have to be forward facing. I feel like there's a lot of people who are in the dietitian side hustle community who are introverts. And perhaps the idea of speaking on live television terrifies them. But it's like, it's more than that. There's so many things that you guys could do behind the scenes because honestly, brands need dietitians. They need registered dietitian, nutrition experts to help guide them and provide correct information for the public. So I love that explanation. I hope a lot of people listening, their ears are perking up, where maybe before they'd see media and brands, they'd be like, not my cup of tea. But I hope that maybe they're thinking this can totally be something they do.
It can
So,
totally be something. Oh, sorry.
oh,
I
no,
just
no,
was
go
gonna
ahead. Go
add.
ahead.
I just was gonna add that. So a lot of people are surprised to find out I'm an introvert.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
And I used to be like painfully shy way back when. And by
Mm.
doing media over the years, that actually just helped me not be shy anymore. Like 10 years ago, I couldn't go up to somebody and just talk to them randomly. And now it's part of my day-to-day life. And that's been something that I just have loved about media, just to like plant that seed in people's, if you want to kind of break out of that shell a little bit,
Yeah.
it really helps you just kind of practice like how you talk to other people, having that comfort level. And so that can be really nice.
I love that. And what better way to break out of your shell than getting paid to do it? So,
Exactly.
so let's talk a little bit more about the money aspect of things. I actually, our last podcast episode, I had my business coach on and we were talking all about how to make money. I love having conversations about money. I know I share an income report and I love that you've started sharing some income reports with your audience too. I think it's really wonderful when we share on the back end transparently, like, look, we could actually do this. So can you share a little bit more about how much money you actually can make doing these things from media and brand work?
Yeah. So I want to say thank you, first of all, for sharing your income reports because you inspired me to share
Oh,
mine.
yay.
So, yay, right? And I think as dietitians, just having transparency is so important. So, over the last 12 months, I made $203,000 from working with brands. And that's just from that side of things. Like I have 5 other revenue streams that bring in additional income. So all told, you can make a significant amount of money working with brands. And brand work, so a lot of people ask me, okay, what does that break down to? Like how many hours are you spending? What's your hourly rate? But I always say, don't think about this kind of work in terms of hourly rate, because yes, there's going to be true consulting where you're charging an hourly rate for the behind the scenes work that you're doing with the brand. But most of the work that you do with the brand is based on your endorsement and your expertise and your years of practicing as a dietitian and those years of education that you did that, this random person off the street who wants to talk about nutrition does not have. So that's really the value. And because of that, you can get paid. I mean, I'm just being frank, like you can get paid thousands of dollars for minutes or hours of work. And that would take a long time to make in a traditional clinical setting.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I remember at Fincy 2019 when I was first starting to get into entrepreneurship. That's before this podcast even existed. I met a dietitian who does work with brands, and I remember she had shared how she posted a post on Instagram and got paid $5,000. And I remember being like, what? Like a blog article. Like, what was it? She's like, no, a post on Instagram. I'm like, that is amazing. I want to be more like you when I grow up. But I think it is something that's not talked about. And we don't realize like, wow, this really is a way that dietitians can make money and make amazing money. So I love
It
that.
totally is. And I have people who come to me and they say, I got offered $100 to do this thing for a brand. Is that good? And we always have the conversation of, well, you're actually worth, about 10 to 20 times that amount of money for this piece of work that we're talking about. And it's always surprising, but obviously people are excited to hear this information, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's like when I start talking about blogging, people are like, wait, what? Like, there's just so many things that we can do. And all of it depends on like what we love to do. And I'm a big fan of having multiple streams of income for side hustlers, for full-time entrepreneurs. And I love that. And I hope people heard that when you shared that you made over $200,000 through one stream of income through brand and media work. And you have 5 revenue streams. So, for people listening, just thinking of, whatever you're doing, whether or not it's working with patients, blogging as a business, doing freelance writing, what are some opportunities that you can add in some brand work to have additional streams of income? So
Totally. And that's something that, I think a lot of people they might like see a little blurb on social media and think, okay, like that sounds great, but I don't want to give it my full-time gig. But you don't have to. So a lot of the students that I work with, some of them have done the full-time thing for years and they want to do brand work and media work full-time. And that's great. But a lot of them are just, kind of looking for, a side thing that one day might become a full-time job, but they want to just explore and have that additional income stream that's on top of their regular full-time job. And that's the beauty of it. You can do it a lot. You can do it full-time. You can do it just a little. And whatever you do is going to be great for your income.
yeah, absolutely. Lots of options and flexibility. So for people who are listening, and like I said, their ears are perking up, they're like, well, wait a minute. I want to learn more about this. So I guess we're going to talk in a minute actually about an opportunity that Amy has for our listeners. But can you tell people who are just getting started, they're maybe just learning about this, how can they actually get started? Like, how do they find this type of work?
Yeah. So that's the number one thing is, so, at the beginning, you said this episode is about media and brand work. And that's true because to get the brand work, you got to do the media work. And so media work just means getting yourself out there, getting yourself interviewed and featured in online publications, like the Food Networks, the Huffington Post, the Live Strongs and Eat This Not That's. And being on TV if that's something that interests you, and just really getting your name out there. And the really cool thing is when you do this media work, it all kind of goes full circle. So you can include what's called a backlink to your blog or your website. And so then you get more juice coming to your blog.
Yep.
And then if you have your social media featured on your blog, then people will follow you, and it kind of and then people will find you for media interviews based on your social media. So it truly just goes full circle, which is really cool. As for actually getting featured in media, there's multiple ways to do it. One really great way is if you want to join my Facebook community. It's called Media Mastery with Amy. and I'll give Katie the link for that. But we have about 2,000 people in there, lots of really awesome reporters for publications like Live Strong and Eat This and just a million other ones. And people are posting, dietitians are posting opportunities for other dietitians to be interviewed in the media. So that's a really great way to get in. And then another really great way is called HARO. It's called Help a Report. It's Help a Reporter Out. And if you haven't heard for it, just Google it, sign up for it, and you'll get alerts that come in every day with media opportunities. And that's really the way that a lot of people get started. You know, the kind of goal of working with HARO is you put in the work up front and then you impress these reporters who are on there, and then they start reaching out to you just out of the, you know, off of HARO. And that's how it works for me. Is I don't really utilize platforms that much anymore because I just have people coming into my inbox and they find me from just being featured in other media and having, you know, my website and whatnot. And so, you know, it's a lot, it sounds like a lot of work, but it really is just a lot of, it's work for a little bit amount of time until you kind of get in with the media.
Yeah, yeah. And I will agree with you there that it sounds like a lot of work, but it's really not. I use Haro myself. A lot of my media work is trying to get backlinks from my website, part of my SEO strategy. But I totally agree with you. The more you are able to serve reporters, they will follow up with you. They'll refer your name to other people. The interview I had yesterday was with Geriatric Medicine magazine, and I don't even know how they found me. It was from some other reporter. And I've had so many amazing opportunities where people find me because they see me in other publications, or one of their friends refers me to them as a geriatric nutrition expert. So I love that. So media work, and I guess kind of talk a little bit more about this, making sure I understand it correctly too. The media work piece where we are kind of getting our name out there, we're building a name for ourselves. That's unpaid time. That's us kind of building our name, but then that opens doors for us to do the brand work where we make the good income. Is that correct?
So yes, that's totally correct. I'm going to add a caveat. So that is right. So that media work is, it's unpaid for the most part. And I look at that as my marketing budget. So it's my time that I spend in marketing, and it's
Yep.
significant. I mean, I probably spend at least an hour a day a week doing media,
Yep.
but you obviously you get a lot out of that. You get $203,000 for, you know, for me for brand work over that year. Um, and then that leads to the brands taking notice of you. So what's amazing is once you start getting featured in the media, those brands will say, you know, we're looking for a, you know, a dietitian specialized in geriatric nutrition. Katie's the perfect fit. And so they'll reach out to you and say, like, we have this product we want you to, you know, endorse and work with. And then what's really cool is sometimes those brand partnerships, it'll kind of go full circle. So this is the caveat, right? Where they might pay you for doing those media interviews. And so that's kind of how you can get paid. Like they might say, can we come up with, you know, can we pitch you out to media and set up media interviews on, you know, with you as the expert talking about our product? And that's how you can get paid for those media interviews. Or they might set up a TV segment where you're on NBC talking about their products and you're getting paid for that airtime. And so that's really cool when you kind of, you're getting paid to promote yourself basically and get more brand work. So it's just really, really awesome for so many reasons.
No, I love that. And I love how it kind of comes full circle too. And, you know, even with blogging, because again, that's my kind of main jam. There's a lot of work that's unpaid, I guess, in the scheme of things, like when I'm writing the blog articles, but then on the back end, how much money you make. It's all part of it's different. I think so often we think of a traditional dietitian job where we're paid per hour instead of seeing the big picture of all this work we're doing ends up being the income I can make. So awesome. Thank you.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really that's helpful for people to kind of understand how this all works and falls to place. So let me see. I feel like I had another question that popped in my head as you were talking. Oh, I would love if you could speak to our audience about the dietitians that are working with brands for free products.
Yes, that is. So let's change this, first of all. So and this is more common these days, like 5 years ago, this wasn't as much of a thing, but like today, like if you look at my inbox, you'll see like some crazy number, like 14,000 unread emails, because there's so many emails that come in, and the emails that I don't read or respond. I mean, I might respond and say I can't do this, but they're the emails that say either, hey, we love your platform. Can we have you post like 3 reels on Instagram and we'll give you this free $25 product? So that's scenario number one. Scenario number two is when a brand reaches out to you and says, hey, here's an affiliate code for our product. We'll give you 10% of every sale. And our product is $5. So that's, that's less than $1, right?
Yeah.
Per sale. So these are the two scenarios where I just really caution you to think about what your name is worth and what your endorsement is worth. And by agreeing to do these things for free, I'm just going to say you're just really devaluing the heft of your name, because you can get paid for these endorsements. And the thing is, like, say a yogurt company reaches out to you and offers you like a free month's supply of yogurt. And that sounds okay. That's great. That's a month's supply that will feed my family. But then you do the post for them, and then the next month a company reaches out, or they would have reached out to offer you, say, a $10,000 partnership. But they see that you're already associated with this other brand, and they don't know that you're not getting paid in real money. And they'll say, well, we can't work with, this person because they're already working with this other company. And so you're losing money that you didn't even know you ever had in your pocket. And so that's really, I'm not saying there's never a situation where you can't do anything for free. Like, there are times, like, say I'm talking to a company and we're almost at the point of signing something and a media opportunity comes up for them and it's perfect, but we don't have a signed contract. I might just throw them a nice bone and put them in the article because I truly love their product and I want to make that relationship come to life. But there's a strategy behind doing that. And I'm not doing that every time an opportunity comes up for free. So you kind of have to strategize, like, not to say you can't throw something on an Instagram story if your family's really enjoying it, but I wouldn't dedicate something that, a reel takes hours of time and real concrete static space in your feed. I wouldn't give away something of that high value for free.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Because I know I see a lot of dietitians doing that, and I just want them to see this other perspective and the fact that they could actually make money doing these things. And yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And that's the number one thing. Like, the students in my Master in the Media Coaching program, like right now, they're in that part of the program because we have 12 modules that you go through, and it's kind of like that light bulb was turning on, like, oh, I used to do this for free, but wow, I can get paid a lot of money, and I should get paid a lot of money for this work.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So my next question is, what tips would you have for dietitians who are listening who feel just overwhelmed or intimidated by this whole idea and concept of working with brands and media? So just any tips for them who are like, I want to do this, but this just feels way too overwhelming.
Yes, of course. So don't try and do everything all at once. That's the number one thing. And I'm sure you can relate to this when you're coaching people for blogging, is just, you can't build a house overnight, right? So you choose one thing. And usually, like, when I work with dietitians, we start off by just choosing a niche. That's number one to working with media, is having a niche. Like, yours is geriatric nutrition, mine is plant-based eating. Then from there, we learn how to connect with reporters and how to communicate in ways that they'll actually quote you and include you in the story. And then from there, we go into the money making aspects. And so, like, that's why you have to take it one step at a time. Like, then you kind of can dive into freelance writing. Once you have your platform established, you can dive into social media and really promoting yourself. And then you can dive into these brand partnerships because they've seen you in all these different lights of media and freelance writing and media interviews and social media. And so, I just went through that whole thing, and it didn't start with getting paid brand partnerships, right? It started with some back work that you have to do. And so I think just starting to chip away at that is really where people can start.
I love that, one thing at a time. And I think so often we look at people maybe who are media dietitians and we're looking at their end game, or not end game, mid game. And we don't realize they all started somewhere too. And anyone who really wants to do this work, all they have to do is take one step, another step, another step. Over time, you could find yourself living a completely different life. So
a completely different life. I mean, it's just, and having the flexible, we haven't talked about the time aspect of it, but that's something that's huge, as just getting your time back. You have the more free time when you're doing this kind of work. You have the capability to travel and work from wherever you want and just be more present with your family. And I think all of those things are just, you can't put a money amount on any of those things.
Yeah, I agree. This is my 10th month of being a full-time entrepreneur, and you just can't trade the time freedom. When we went to Fincy, I was there for 2 weeks almost. We did Disney World. My family came with me. We did Disney World and then Fincy, and I was thinking, my goodness, if I was still working at the VA where I worked for 13 years, this would not have happened. Mostly because I was out of leave. Because at the end of my career, I was taking so much time off to do entrepreneurial things, I like ran out of leave. So this would not have
Yeah,
been possible.
you you can take a, I mean, you can take a month of time. I mean, not at once maybe, but like I took yesterday off because my best friend came into town and I didn't even have to think twice about it. It was that easy, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Any other benefits to brand and media work you want to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, I just think like having, it- we talked about money, we talked about time, but having the change in self-concept, I think is hugely important too,
Mm,
because when you're, there's something to be said about like when you're working for somebody else and spending all your time and energy on their outcome versus when you're putting all that time and energy and love into your own success and getting your
yeah.
own name out there. And, through media, you can promote your own products. There's just nothing else that matches it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about entrepreneurship. It's just having that happen.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like the urgency of understanding we only get this one life and nothing is promised tomorrow, nothing is guaranteed. And my goodness, entrepreneurship opens so many doors for time freedom, financial freedom, but then even just that self-confidence piece and living this amazing life that maybe before you never thought was possible. So I love that.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I guess I've got 2 more questions, but I think the next one is gonna be, I know that you have a free webinar or masterclass?
It's a masterclass that's a
Masterclass.
webinar. So you can call it webinar,
Okay,
masterclass,
okay.
whatever you want.
So your masterclass is coming up, and this is gonna be a free opportunity for dietitians who are like, "Tell me more, Amy," where they could learn from you. So tell us more about your masterclass and,
Yeah,
what dietitians can expect from that.
100%. So we're having free master classes on November 2nd and November 3rd. It's the same master class. I mean, it's going to be live. So of course it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And November 2nd, it's 1 p.m. Eastern time. So it's 10 a.m. Pacific. And Thursday, November 3rd, it's 5 p.m. Eastern time. That's 2 p.m. Oh my gosh, I can't talk Pacific. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I can't talk. And Katie will drop her affiliate link in the links. But this is going to be awesome. Not only is it free, you also get a free ethics continuing education credit for attending. So that's really fun. And we're going to be giving away just a ton of fun prizes. So if you show up live, you can win one of many fun gift cards that we're giving away to, I'm not going to like ruin the surprise of telling you where they're to, but it's going to be awesome. And so in the masterclass, we're going to spend an hour just going through honestly just how to earn a ton of money from working with brands. I'm sharing all my secrets of how, and obviously they're not secrets now that I'm sharing them, but of how I earned over $200,000 in the last year, and how you can too. That's the bottom line, is how I'm giving you the path to make this happen for you. So we're going to dive into the ins and outs of how to land these lucrative brand partnerships. You're going to learn how to monetize your platforms, how to connect with brands that are going to pay you top dollar, and it's just, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love it. I will definitely add it in my affiliate link in the show notes. And also it will be on my Linktree page, which is katiedodd.com. So for anyone who's like, I don't know how to find show notes, go to katiedodd.com. The link will be there as well. So awesome. Well,
Awesome.
I'm excited for your masterclass. So where can people find you online? I know you mentioned your Media Mastery with Amy Facebook group, which I'll put that in the show notes as well. But where else can people find you online?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram at Master the Media. So follow us. We always have fun, media tips and things like that. We just started a Facebook page. So the link for the Facebook page is Media Mastery with Amy. So join us there. And then, we have our free masterclass. And then Katie also has an affiliate link for our full-fledged Master the Media coaching program. So that is for the dietitians who want to really take this to the next level. And that's 6 months of coaching. That's really the gold, is you get my brain in your business to help you make all of these amazing brand partnerships happen. And you get 12 modules of content of going over niching, working with the media, working with brands. And we go through like the nitty gritty of how to create a contract that's fair to you and charge what you're worth and things like that. And you get lifetime access to all of that and 65 continuing education credits.
I love how many CEUs you have for your program. I think that is lovely.
Yeah, why not knock them all out at once?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on, Amy. I'm really glad I was able to get you on the podcast. And thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and expertise with the Dietitian Side Hustle audience. So, yeah, thank
My
you so much.
pleasure. Thank you.
Are you a member of the Dietitian Side Hustle Facebook group? If not, be sure to head on over to Facebook and search for Dietitian Side Hustle. This private Facebook group is filled with thousands of dietitians, RDs to be, and DTRs just like you who either want to start a side hustle, have a side hustle, are entrepreneurs, all the things. And if you want to learn more about how we can work together, be sure to visit my website, katiedodd.com. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast, guys.